Yeah, it just helps bring back the energy into the whole piece. Thank you. Wow, it's good to see so many lovely faces out there. So it's about 15, 60 of us, I guess, right now. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Guys, just to sort of put things in perspective, first of all, let me start by saying that I really hope all of you, your families, loved ones, everybody's doing well in this pandemic. I feel deeply inspired when I see so many faces on an afternoon managing to overcome the pandemic, continuing to focus on doing what's right and what is within our area of control, and focus continuing on the learning journey. I find that deeply inspirational. uh Please feel free to turn off your videos if that's a problem because of the internet connectivity in your areas. Here's what we'll do. That Let me start with something, and what I understand from Dr. Kiran is um, like it's very humbling to be talking to an audience like all of you. So most of you, I'm told, you're professors, so maybe I should be on the other side of the discussion. So what I'll try and do is talk about what we do as in the industry, cover a few broad trends, what we have seen change in the industry in the last 1 year, specifically given the pandemic. And at any point in time, if you feel that you want me to talk a little more about the basics of it, or if this is too elementary and you want me to talk about things at the next level, please just feel free to stop me, put in a message on the chat window, whatever works for you. But let's take this forward from here. Yeah, works? Great. So tell me when you can see my screen. Try to share something here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So, okay, thanks to Dr. Kiran, I can just skip through this. So let's just get started with a small video on, and this is again, whatever I covered today, most of it, I would think today's next 2 hours would have been a success if at the end of it, it leaves you wanting to go back onto the internet to find out more. There's really no such thing as a person having knowledge. It's all out there. It's about finding what's most relevant for you and figuring that out. So let me start with this piece, which, yeah, this should tell us about what's the scale of things that we are dealing with today. Are you all able to get the audio as well?
No, ma'am, it's not audible.
It is not audible, ma'am.
Just 1 second, sorry. Um,
Ma'am, when you share the screen, you have to share the system audio also. Now you need to stop sharing. Then when you share the screen, there will be a small icon at the right corner, left corner. You
yes,
need to...
thank you, got that. That's most helpful. That's really the most helpful tip. Okay, so let me get started here. Working?
Not yet.
So this is about what's happening on the internet in every minute, and that's the scale of things that we are talking about.
Ma'am, request you to stop share first and then share it again with the sound. So we'll be able to see it and hear it as well.
Can you not hear it still? Sorry, I thought...
Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. You have to first stop share and then you have to again share it.
I just did that, and I'm sharing my computer sound as well. Can you all hear it now?
No, I think there is some issue because your screen got frozen.
Ma'am, now try sharing. Have stopped shared. Now you can try sharing.
Okay. Actually, and even if this time we don't get the sound, doesn't matter. I shall do the voiceover and just one moment. Can you all hear it now?
Yes, ma'am.
And
Yes.
is it
Yes,
audible?
madam.
Not yet.
Ma'am, it's
Anyway, so
visible but not audible. It's
that's
okay.
fine. That's fine. So we're talking about in 1 minute in the internet. We are talking about this kind of a scale. And when I say the reason I love starting with this piece is that it just tells you the opportunity. It tells you about what's the scale of things. 4 lakh apps are downloaded every minute. This is 60 seconds, so just do the maths from there on. We are right now on Zoom and there are 200,000 of us attending Zoom calls in the world right now. So 2,000 questions on Quora every minute. What does it mean for a marketeer? And that's the size of what consumers are spending online, and pretty much this is all getting routed through the digital sector. So this is we'll talk a lot more about YouTube and what's happening with videos as we go forward. No, I am sure, going by the kind of audience I have here, none of you are surprised by the... Sorry, now I think it's time I figured a way of stopping my... Yeah. Can you all see the slides now? Let's get started. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So I'm sure with all of you, this wouldn't have been new. At the same time, I just hope every time I watch this, it just leaves me. It just leaves me filled with a sense of awe that this is the scale of digital information that's out there. Now, why am I starting with this? Is that when we talk about digital marketing, it's no longer just about marketing the way we would have spoken about it even a decade back and 2 decades back. Of course, it was a different world altogether. But now it's when we talk about digital, it's a complete digital landscape, and the digital marketing piece of it is a very integral part of it, but it doesn't serve the purpose of just marketing. It's as much of business, as much of driving customer experience, it's as much about driving consumer behavior. So let me start by saying that if I think about the market landscape today in digital, there would be largely four broad pillars to it or players to it. And I am referring to a lot of very for data. I've tried my best to share as much of academic references with all of you here, so that you can go back and read up some of these reports if this is relevant for you, your students, and so on. Having said that, what I'm talking about is also pretty much what is industry practice right now. Like this is almost like a given. So one I'm referring to here is a report on Digital India by IMI, where the way they've structured it is that it's a full ecosystem. So you'll keep hearing, bankers like myself or people in the digital sector talk about the digital ecosystem. Now, when we say the ecosystem, what do we mean? These four players. That I have the customers or the potential audiences. We in India are blessed in that sense that we have the world's second largest internet audience, 500 million. So if you think about it as a country, 1.3 billion people, half of them on the internet. Pretty much this is the similar audience which is also there on Facebook. And so reason I'm calling that out is one is people using the internet to search for something, go to a certain web page and so on. The second is what's the audience which is there on social platforms, more or less the same number. And we expect this penetration to go up to 75% by in another 1 or 2 years, which is where the potential lies. Now, how do we tap into this potential, or why should we tap into this potential? No-brainers there in the sense that with payments getting digitized, with social media playing an active role in bringing all of us together today, e-commerce, entertainment, advertising, everything happening online, that becomes your service. So which is why, if you see very consciously, I've called out digital advertising as part of the overall service piece, because that's as much a part of the product. To give you an example, today when we advertise my ad banners for any typical bank for that matter, when you click, it will take you to the Play Store, where you go and download the app for that bank, or it will take you to a bank's website landing page where you go and leave a lead, and then somebody from the bank will call you back, and so on, right? Now, is that really marketing? Is that sales? Is that business? It can be debated. We still continue to call it digital marketing. We still call it, give it names like media planning and things like that. Having said that, it's very much business. And how big is that business? $0.2 trillion. And we expect this to grow about 6 times in the next 15 odd years. That's the scale of growth. And therefore, if you see that little note at the bottom that I'd kept in was that the way we are spending in this space, the ad, if I go by the digital AdX, it's growing at 25% CAGR. So almost about 40% of all ad spends today, and this is global data, but India's data may actually be slightly more skewed upwards. Most of it is going into digital, because how else do you advertise? And we will talk more about what has the pandemic led to, but all of these ratios are tilting in favor of digital as I speak. Why is that happening is also we thankfully have a government which is seriously enabling it. So whether you talk about Aadhaar cards, PAN cards, all our tax filing, everything is happening online. Because of that, it's making our life, and when I say our life, our lives as marketeers, it's making it easier. Why? Because I no longer necessarily have to educate my customer about the basics of digital. I then need to definitely tell my customer about the proposition, the brand, and so on. But I do not have to. There's a lot of natural awareness, natural education for customers happening. And when I say natural, it's natural because it's there in the ecosystem, that every little job that I need to do, it's there online, and therefore as an individual I'm forced to learn. Today you will see people who are uh, who are senior citizens, veterans, who earlier would have said that, oh, I find this very difficult. They are so comfortably using things like WhatsApp. They are so comfortable using Google and doing a little bit of search and so on. And the way journeys are getting designed today, when I design an app today, I keep that in mind, that what do I need to do to make sure it's easy, and what they've seen, what they've learned in other digital experiences, how can I leverage that, and is it intuitive in the user experience design? So that's the third pillar. And the last pillar, which is possibly the most important, and the pillar that keeps the space so exciting, is the fact that we in India have 9,000 startups. And if I think about it, we started with the likes of, say, Paytm. A few years back, we started talking about Byju's, education. We then have Farmeasy, 1MG, and similar players in pharma. We have Swiggy and Zomato in the food delivery space. And very recently, I've been seeing a lot of good work that's being done by Youre, which is the new courier service, doorstep logistics service that they offer. They've been doing a wonderful job in this pandemic. So coming back to the point where I started from, that it's no longer just about digital marketing in the sense of how much do I pay for my media and how much do I bid. It's a part of business. So let me pause there. Does that make sense? Does that resonate? Any thoughts, comments, questions? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Super. I'm trying to just, sorry, I'm not able to sort of see you all when I'm presenting, and I'm trying to check if there are any questions.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
But I think the market is still quite less than what it is in the mainstream platform like TV, television, or radio, or newspapers.
And why do you say that?
Because they have larger audience. I mean, if you see the digital, who access digital platform in India, it's minuscule. Still, the population is minuscule, not that much.
I'll differ very strongly over there,
Okay.
because like I said, that we are a country of 1.3 billion people.
Right.
Half the universe, which is approximately 500 million people, they are using the
Yeah.
internet.
Mhm.
Facebook has almost 400, and last I saw was 450. I'm sure they are touching 500 as we speak. Likewise, add to that the audiences. So pretty much, and I'll tell you the thumb rule, and you're right when you say that everybody doesn't have access to the internet. Unfortunately, there is that segment which is half the country pretty much. Having said that, that half the country, some of them hopefully would have access to television, would have access to radio. However, not all of that. So there will be a significantly underprivileged population which is part of this other 500 million. Having said that, as businesses, when I say that I'm spending my ad expenses, there are objectives with which you spend, right? So if the objective is to drive adoption of a digital product like a Byju's, like a Swiggy, or so on, or if the objective is to drive a certain behavior like payment of taxes online,
Mm.
most of that awareness is being done digitally. Also, what is happening is, and when I say digital, the way forward, and if you sort of look up literature online, you'll see that in the future there's a lot of work happening globally on smart TVs, that even the advertising that you see on your television is done programmatically. So I will know, depending on what kind of person is watching the TV, the ads delivered there will be different. So just to give a simple parallel to that, today when you watch Netflix, today when you watch Amazon Prime, the kind of recommendations I see will be very different from the kind of recommendations a teenager may be shown, or somebody with a very different kind of interest will be shown. So to that extent, yes, and that's why we are still only at about 30-40% kind of adx pie when I talk about digital spends. But as we go forward, we do see this continuing to grow, and continuing to grow at a rate of about the 6x by 2035. Does that answer the question?
How do you tap the rural segments digitally? Because these rural pockets
Yeah,
are still
thank you, ma'am.
untapped.
How do you tap the rural segments? Now, that's a very interesting question. Now, what has happened is that in the last
Uh,
2
to add to
years,
that question, ma'am,
Yeah.
just a second, to add to
Yeah.
that, not only rural, but I would say the marginalized people also, how to tap them, because they also buy something, if not that much as what uh, a person living in city or a person living in an urban area does, but that is also a kind of market, you know.
when you
So we
say
have to,
marginalized, you mean the lower income groups, or you're talking about geographies?
No, both lower income groups also, or geographical way also, both.
Sure. So there are two parts to it. One, where are we playing today? Most, in fact, we'll be talking about the latest Google findings as well from 2020. Uh, Earlier, the thumb rule was very simple, that if you're in a large metro, top 8 cities in the country, so Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, add to that Ahmedabad, Pune, Kolkata, Hyderabad, 8 to maximum 10 cities, and you'll see a lot of digital adoption happening in those cities. Now what has happened is, and the first big change happened when Geo entered the market a few years back. Pretty much whichever segment you talk about, except for the highly marginalized segments, most people today have a smart. So we are the world's largest smartphone market to that. In that sense, again, we the smartphone numbers range between 500 million upwards. So that's your starting point. Now we can get into a conversation on how do you drive that penetration. That penetration is happening, and that's why you see that government pillar sitting there so strongly, because we definitely have reason to believe that that's where the impetus has come from. Because otherwise, as brands, as corporates, there's only so much of so much of scale that you can drive in a country which is the size of India. So while they have also done their bits, a lot of work has happened thanks to the initiatives of the government, initiatives around all kinds of transactions going online. The second thing that has happened is payments going online. So now digital is no more just a luxury, so to say, but one can take it to the next level to say, yes, this is a must do. Like in Bombay, I will tell you that, and with the pandemic, that has, again, the adoption of contactless payments has increased so much more. But the local grocery stores, the local fish markets, everybody will have that Paytm QR code and they'll expect customers to pay. Now, that's where that journey starts from. And from there on, step by step, the whole digital adoption piece starts. The last bit on how do we do it in rural? Till now, honestly, in the rural areas, we are still to see as much of a uh, we still digital is more in the experimentation phase with physical leading the way. Having said that, thanks, like, because in the last again 1.5 2 years, those numbers, we've seen some movements with the pandemic, adoption of digital payments, marginal, not as much as large cities and urban pockets, industrial hubs, but that journey has begun. And that's why when we say that it'll grow from 500 to 750 million, this 250 million we expect will come from these markets. The 6x growth, and a lot of it will come from, because pretty much in the urban pockets the adoption has happened. It will go deeper in urban pockets. The first time adopters will come from these other newer markets. Does that answer?
Yeah, man. Thanks. Thank you so much.
So now this is again just a bit of the net that in the last 1 year, 1.5 years now, unfortunately though, there's uh, the amount of things that have changed has definitely had an impact on all the digital trends that we would talk about. So, of course, this lockdown, I missed the huge, big digital initiative, Arogya Setu. Think of it that a year back, today, if you have to travel from one place to another, you need that app and you need a smartphone. Otherwise, you do not travel. And so all of these initiatives happening in parallel are leading to certain industry trends or certain consumer behavioral changes, which are forcing brands and organizations, as a marketing community, it's forcing all of us to think differently, do things differently. Why? Because the customer expects us to be different. Starting right from things like homeschooling, unimaginable 15 months back. Things like people watching Ramayana and Mahabharata again. From a media standpoint, that's path breaking, because who would have ever thought that that's content which people will want to see in a world that's talking about so many kinds of communication. Every day there's some new movie coming out, and then again people sort of get hooked to two serials that they've seen some 30 maybe more, right, for almost 40 years back. Now that's the trend. That what I will cover now is because of all of this happening in parallel, that the pandemic led to work from home led to people adopting digital more aggressively. What has changed and what should we think about as marketers? So the first thing that we see is, as customers, there people are seeking trust. They will make their buying decisions based on trust, safety, call it assurance. For instance, and I just sort of put this picture in the corner, that where a brand is saying do not accept if the seal is broken, helps build that trust. You would have seen like DBS for one, we've run Save with the Safest campaign. to re-emphasize the fact that this is safe. You would have seen Zomato talk continuously about how they check their delivery staff for their temperature every morning, and only if they have a temperature less than 97 degrees do they 98 degrees do they go out for service delivery doorstep. So what's happening is that when that happens in a community, as a brand, that's the language I need to start speaking. And on that note, if you look around and look at the kind of advertising we see, be it on television or on digital medium, you will see that reflecting in across channels. The second thing that has happened, and please feel free to stop me if you think you disagree, or if you have an interesting example where you've seen this, because these are what I'm talking about, and there are 8 such trends I'll talk about. These are all in themselves fairly large trends. And why I say they're fairly large trends, that today, as if think of my if I am a if I'm a garment manufacturer, till 1 year back, 2 year back, I would have been competing with brands either on the basis of the pricing I offer or on the basis of my premium quality. Today, if I am a garment company, I will talk about how my garments have been packed in a way that is contactless, so that when the consumer receives it, it is safe. That's what it means when it comes to doing it differently. That's why I'm talking about this trend. The second thing is humanizing the digital experience. What do I mean by that? That there has been an obvious increase in the propensity of customers towards accepting digital from wherever we were, and it can be different in different geographical pockets, but people have started adopting it. That number is increasing every day. Now what's critical, and you will hear lots, you will see a lot of papers, industry, everybody talking about the importance of customer experience. Now one way of thinking about it is, okay, so what's the big deal? Customer experience is not a new term. The point is that when you do it in the digital world, it has to be done in a way that is easy and convenient. For example, today when you log into an app, very intuitively we look at the top left of the app, and we will look for those 3 tiny lines on the top left corner, which typically we call it, refer to it as the burger menu, because it's like a burger 2 lines being the buns and another thing in the middle. You click on that and you expect a drop down to come your way telling you about what are the things that are there in the app. And that's common across apps. Why? Because that's the heuristic design, or that's the design principle based on which most apps are being designed, because we know that when somebody is holding the phone in their left hand, the top left is where most people will naturally click. You will see most apps have a big banner on top and then everything at the bottom. Why? Because that's the area where my eyeballs will go. And if I have a click button there, chances of me clicking there are highest. Now, that kind of thinking, which is what you will read as design thinking, user experience, how do I design the user interface, all of these is anchored on the simple consumer behavior, that as a consumer, I like things which are simple. I like things which are human. I know how to hold a pen. Therefore, today phones will come with a stylus. Is a parallel bad example possibly, but that's what we as customers want. Like, if I know that this is how I show big, that's why when I have to zoom out, I need to do this to the picture. And you will see increasingly that when we talk about design principles, when we talk about marketing, messaging, communication, journey design thinking, this piece becomes absolutely important. The third point, compassionate communication. That now, earlier you would have seen a lot of communication around typical large big brand wars. Pepsi competing with Coca-Cola, one toothpaste competing with another toothpaste. Now, as consumers, given where we are in the world, it's not a very happy state of affairs. People are in stress, and they, from their brands, from their ordinary things in life, they expect hope, they expect empathy, that somebody should understand what I'm going through. And that is the tone or tenor of messaging that we expect as consumers from the brand. And therefore, rather than say communication which says 50% off, if somebody comes and says, I understand, as a brand, I'm helping my employees, like something that went viral very recently and was deeply appreciated across the industry was Tata Click put up a message on their website. Any of you aware of what happened with Tata Click? Okay, I'll take that as a no
No, ma'am.
problem. No problem, no problem. So what Tata Click did, all of you know what Tata Click is, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
it's a similar online e-commerce platform, similar to, but currently smaller than, say, the Amazons and Flipkarts of the world. So what they did was, on their website, they put up a little message which said that this is the time to be with our employees. I am not sort of reading it out from anywhere, so I'm just talking from memory, but this is what they did. That this is the time to empathize. You may want to place an order. We will really appreciate if you place your entire order together, so that our delivery guys have to come only once instead of coming to your doorstep 5 times with 5 different orders. We will really appreciate it that if you don't really need something, give us 15 days and then place the order, because a lot of our staff are down with COVID and they may not be able to honor what you are. We'll have to go the extra mile to service that. And somewhere it ended with the line that this is the time for empathy, commerce can wait, this is the time to care. And to think of it that an e-commerce portal, and they survive and thrive on digital, right? We spoke about digital being business and not just marketing. They did that. And it was deeply appreciated by consumers. It just went viral amongst people that, oh wow, look what a nice brand. And once again, like, there was this whole talk about how Tatas are a great they just won over their audience. The last point here, and before I sort of take a few questions, is the whole contactless interactions. That one is contactless payment, the second is contactless interaction. That, do I really want to touch something to be able to get it? Like, there were you will see that there are a whole bunch of processes, right from starting with work from home. I'm not in physical contact with any anything in my office. Like, I haven't seen that building for a while. Be it doorstep delivery, you will see that if you want us to leave it at your door, our Amazon has that our guys will leave it outside your door, ring the bell and step away, and you can pick it up later. Things like that. Similarly, schooling, I think education is a sector which has benefited hugely in the last 1.5 years. Be it Byju's, be it actually online schools and online classes. And the reason I'm talking about these trends is these trends are here to stay. Because think about it, that as a community, what we have learned, the expectation, it's hard to predict, of course, but the expectation is that none of these things, it's not as if tomorrow, once things become normal, I will want to go back to a 5-day work. it's not as if tomorrow I will suddenly say that, oh, okay, now things are normal, let me just delete all my apps and go back to the physical world. That's not going to happen. So this is here to stay. Any thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, we'll be landing in new normal.
Sorry?
We are going to be in new normal.
Absolutely. That's what we are referring to as the new normals. That's so brilliantly worded.
Yeah.
And in this new normal, what we need to be thinking about is what do we do differently as marketers, therefore. That you cannot go back to that world where you say buy one get one free 50, like if you have the monies and wherewithal to give something free, by all means, but that's not what can be the heart of the communication. You will see, like for instance, even if somebody tells me that, okay, buy one get one free, but you have to drive for 2 hours, pay 10 rupees extra, the guy will deliver it at home, I may be willing to pay that extra.
No, if there is unlock, in the sense like now many states, especially in India, in lockdown period, if there is any unlock for 1 hour or so, they'll rush.
Which is
What is it?
So that's actually, I'll come to that. I'll come to that as point number 7. But that's a very interesting observation. That in fact, let me just cover that. So what we've seen, and in fact, there was a lot of this seen in China last year, because China was one of the first countries that sort of that got out of the pandemic, right? And there was crazy amount of shopping that happened. Similarly, if you remember Diwali last year, most e-commerce platforms in India, including Amazon and Flipkart, posted record sales. Why? And the marketing jargon, we love giving phrases to things, was called revenge shopping. That people were sitting at home, they did not know what to do. So what obviously happened with a certain section of the society, and this is only one section of the society, let me qualify that, it's not everybody, where you are saving on your travel to work cost, you haven't seen a significant job impact, because there is a very different section where there were job cuts, pay cuts, job losses, unfortunate, and so on. I'm not talking about that segment, but there were segments where they did not go through any significant, or there was no impact on their earnings. They saved on their work, on their travel costs. They were sitting at home and did not spend their money anywhere for a period of, say, from March to about July, August. Now, when there was this little hope, it's almost like people want to celebrate it. It's almost that celebration of victory, of having overcome, and that's the emotion that came out. But what we also saw as a business trend, that after a point in time, it settles. Why? Because A, it's that emotion. Second, it's also that pent up consumer behavior. That in my normal life, I may say that, okay, I need to buy that fridge. So I'll buy a fridge in a certain month. After 2 months, my children may say that, okay, we need some new school bags and stationery and things like that. Not that big a purchase as a refrigerator, but something else. So we'll buy that. After another maybe 1 month, we say that, okay, by the way, this microwave has been giving trouble, and let's see, instead of getting it repaired, just replace it, right? Now, what you would have normally spent over 3-4 months, suddenly when things open up, you say, oh, I haven't done so many things, let me just start sort of checking the boxes. And if I do not have a financial crunch, I may go ahead and do that. I may also do some what we call impulse purchase or revenge shopping, to say, I have always wanted this, I have only got one life, I don't know what will happen next, might as well live the good life. And that's where that emotion comes from. And I would sort of very crudely say that that's also that same emotion that happens with consumers when there are lockdowns being released for a few hours, that, oh, let me go out because I don't know when there will be a lockdown again. So you would have heard stories about people hoarding groceries at home. Lockdown. Now that's a slightly different behavioral trait, in the sense that that's also the fear of the unknown, where they feel, oh, I don't know what's coming. Might as well be safe than sorry.
Madam, like my perception, I mean, my personal opinion, the rich delayed while pandemic is, I mean, during lockdown, the rich delayed, the poor, he just got, stopped, totally stopped, and the middle income group guy has just, only concentrated on the essentials what you just now, showcased about what required. The rich delayed.
When you
Right?
say delayed,
So
what do you mean?
Delayed in the sense during pandemic situation, he said, okay, theek hai, abhi to lockdown hai, we'll buy later, so after some period of time. Because, in lockdown, you cannot buy even, they have to deliver the product to your place, right? Isn't
Right.
it? So
Fair.
that was the thing. So he has delayed.
You're right. I would possibly word it just a little differently, that what you're talking about are category truths. Like when it comes to groceries, whether I'm rich or poor or middle income, you need rice at home. That buying pattern did not change much. There was this emotion that, okay, I don't know what if there's a lockdown, so people did hoard food at home. Instead of buying my usual 2 kilos of dal, I might buy 4 kilos of dal in 1 month. Doesn't mean that the next month I buy 5 kilos, but I'll consume what I have. The second category would be high-end goods, luxury goods. Okay, and in fact, if it interests you, I'll urge all of you to go back and see on the net this report on beauty and personal care by Google. There's a Euromonitor has given some numbers around it, and that some of these industries have transformed to get consumers back into the I wouldn't even call them luxury, but non-essential category. For instance, today if I talk about cosmetics, earlier cosmetic is one thing which I will, and I'm just using I as a generic, that I will never go online and buy, because I don't know what shade of lipstick will work for me, or what's the perfect shade of eyeliner that I want, and so on. Having said that, today if you go onto these websites, they have created experiences. You will have apps by Lakme, by L'Oreal, by most of these beauty brands, where you can go, you will put up your picture and they will say, okay, keep swiping, and you can see the color of the lipstick and what is the effect it has on you. Even Nykaa has something like that. So what they're doing is they're trying to create that experience for you digitally. And what one is seeing is that it is something which may trigger your end purchase. Even if it does not, it just builds out interest. So over a period of time, what happens is you've done that thing so many times, it's almost like you're playing a game. They've gamified this whole experience so much that tomorrow when I go to the shop, or tomorrow when I have a little money and I am thinking, okay, what can I buy? It's my birthday. I want to treat myself to something, and so on. You'll just have that thing in your mind because you've gone through that experience.
Is it going to make an impulsive buy after experiencing, sort of?
Absolutely. And it's not just impulse, it's not as if it's just a good to do thing. It's also becoming bread and butter for the beauty industry to offer digital experiences. Like earlier, if I talk about ad spends, how many of us would have thought about giving money to influencers to say, hey, can you do a product review in your YouTube channel for this particular makeup brand? That was not even there in our marketing textbook when I was a student. But now, if you're not talking to an influencer, what does an influencer do? The person will make a nice video, will say that, oh, look, this is my skin color, this shade is looking so nice, but if your skin color is this, by the way, they also sent me this sample, and so on. They are trying to create a very similar experience, even by way of apps digitally, to say, okay, you don't want to listen to somebody tell you about this, you just put your photograph and you then keep swiping on your phone and see what is looking good, and then you indulge. Now, it's part of it's not just, it is definitely going to drive impulse purchases. It's building that experience. And it's almost like somebody's doing it, if other brands don't do it, we'll miss out. As simple as that. So once it becomes the norm, and then somewhere it becomes that, what's the consumer behavior that's driving the trend, and is the trend driving the consumer behavior? But the beginning was definitely a consumer behavioral ask to say that, okay, I am not sure how to buy things which I was used to buying in the physical world. So, all right, moving on. The fifth trend I would want to talk about is a sense of community, that suddenly there is also this whole emotion about, is this right for the country? Can I support my local businesses? Again, the reason I say that the government has played a huge role in this entire digital journey is things like Atmanirbhar Bharat, local for last year there was
local.
this. Sorry?
Go for local.
Go for local. All of that, what has happened is, therefore, as brands, earlier there was this distinct positioning that, oh, this is an imported thing, how nice. Now, with a revisiting of priorities, people prefer make in India. People prefer organic because they are that much more conscious about what's happening in the environment and things like that. They will prefer green products. They will prefer made in India products. They will prefer handicrafts. So therefore, even if you go into, to give an example, into Amazon, there is this whole section on Karigar. And the reason they are doing that is because that's what people are asking for. You'll find all of these
Social entrepreneurship.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. The other bit I wanted to talk about is completing the point on online shopping. There's a definite value redefinition. What do I mean? That, to the point that earlier online, what would I buy? Maximum, I will buy some clothes, low risk purchase, that even if it goes wrong, somebody will come take it back for exchange. You would buy some, maybe, home shopping items, some small ticket things. Laptop, smart TV. We've even seen car sales being driven online, at least the lead generation part of it. And because of, in the last 1.5 years, people have stayed at home so much that earlier, and this was a trend which we had started seeing a little before the pandemic itself. People do their research online and then they go to the store to do the final purchase. That you want to buy a television, you will go online, you will go to 10 different sites, you will read 10 reviews, you will talk to friends, families, whatever. Then you make up your mind that this is what I want to do. Then you go to the shop and say that, okay, this is the thing I want to buy, can you show it to me? And you see the kind of refrigerator that they have to offer. Depending on the person who's selling it to you, he may talk to you about a different product as well, a different model, something, and then you take your final decision and come home. Now what's happening is that gradually we see that leg is also, in some cases, people are okay in compromising. Especially last year when online schools and work from home started, there was this global shortage on technology products because people were working from home. They suddenly wanted to buy laptops, suddenly wanted to buy tablets. They ordered all of that sitting at home. And this sector, therefore, and this category, therefore, has started growing. And therefore, we see people being open to buying even jewelry online. So that's the value redefinition that I'm talking about. The last bit is the value of time. That the point that we covered, that just because somebody's giving me something cheaper but far away, cheaper but not so safe, I may not want to buy it. So that's the little bit about what the last year has been. Now, what does it mean for marketers? Uh, if you haven't, again, I'll definitely encourage all of you to go back and read Google's article. Google's publishes this paper every year, which is called Year in Search. So Year in Search 2020, it's available online, very rich report. They've come up with three big trends, which is almost like a summary of what all of this means for us as marketers. One, that content is video. Why? Because when you talk about 500 million people accessing the internet or the digital world, at the beginning somebody said, what can we do in rural? What can we do to drive penetration? We do not expect them to read. They can watch, they can engage with good content. Why? For two reasons. That when you see something, when you experience something as a video, as a story, it's that much more engaging. When you see something in your own language, which is in your own context, that becomes so much more powerful. And that's why you will see, whether you go onto Facebook, any social media platform. Earlier, the journey started with us being able to write that one line status message. Step two that happened later was us being able to put up those pictures and so on. Now you will see pretty much everybody, even as individuals, not just marketers, but everybody likes to tell their story with a little video. The second thing is voice. That when I say voice, think about Alexa, think about Apple's Siri, think about chatbots. Today, if you go into the Big Basket grocery app, they have this tiny voice assistant where one can give the grocery list order by voice, and it'll interpret it and read it out, create the shopping list for you. Now that is big, because you are taking away, when I talk about experience, you are taking away the painful experience of having to type. When you talk about expanding penetration, what is holding people back? You could think in the rural context, you could think in the context of marginalized segments, you could think in the context of age segments, that senior citizens, how will they use digital? Any context, you'll see that these are very powerful truths. That if you see something, oh, it's so easy, I just have to click a button and there's a video playing. I just have to press a microphone and say, and it understands. How nice. That how nice, or that experience, is what is making a make or break difference, and is likely to grow going forward. The third piece is vernacular. That for the longest time, internet was English. And while we did start looking at vernacular communication, in the sense of, you would have seen Hindi emailers, or depending on the location, you might have seen in South India, in Eastern India, things in Tamil, Bengali, Gujarati. We've all seen those posters. Second level, we've seen some of these tiny banners on Facebook which are in those local languages. Way forward, we are seeing videos which are in these local languages. So today, in fact, if you see most videos, almost half the population, more than half the population, prefers watching videos in Hindi, followed by about 15-16% that like to watch it in English. Now, depending on the brand, depending on the objective, as marketers, one can plan out that what is the kind of investment I want to make, where, and so on. So the way to look at it, therefore, is there are some eternal truths in marketing that you cannot start marketing till you know who your target audience is. Once you know that, depending on which is the segment, which is the category you are catering to, one can choose what is the language, what is the kind of content video that you want to show to those people to drive attention, to get attention, what is the kind of experience that you want to deliver. Is it voice? Is it what kind of voice assistance do you want to deliver? The last point before I move on to recommendation and so on is that from an experience perspective, we spoke about, therefore, the overall journey. If you think about a typical in a like 10 years back or 15 years back, when one would design a customer journey, you would say, okay, first I want to drive awareness. Once a customer is aware, they will show interest. Once the customer is interested, they will get they will start considering the product to purchase. They will get show a certain desire for the product, and finally they will act. Today what's happening is it's a complete set of non-linear movements that's happening. I will see something somewhere, I will read a blog post somewhere, all of this, and there is, while at a customer level this journey is there, that okay, I go to a shop 3 times, I see that, and so on. The whole experience need not even be driven by the brand. I will see some YouTube video by a influencer. I will go and read a blog post by somebody else, and all of these moments finally will come around to me taking the decision of buying or not buying a product. Let me pause there. Does any thoughts, questions, anything specific that you want to talk about, ask?
Madam, like to my understanding, with regards to this buyer behavior in new normal, I mean post COVID sort of thing, the health has been the top priority for the buyers to make a purchase, followed by hygiene. It's in a hyper scenario, and with regards to the insurance product or the service, rising concern for these kind of what we call care for others. Such kind of products have been increasing, and there is customer is categorizing between needs and wants. If it is need, okay, let me move ahead. If it is want, just let me hold little. So these kind of categorizations they have made, and then moving ahead. What my understanding is, being there in this pandemic situation, my observation.
True, absolutely true. And my thumb rule there is what we experience as consumers is more often than not what most people around us are experiencing. And to that point, the reason why health or insurance specifically has picked up is also linking back to that point of feeling assured or safety. That one way of wording it is, I want that from my brand, I want that for myself, and therefore let me have that sense of safety, sense of assurance by investing in these. Which is why you'll see that it's almost like, okay, if there's an immunity product like Chyawanprash, for instance, it's been there as a product for ages. Why is everybody suddenly why do people have so much of faith? Because there is that hope associated with it, there is that belief associated with it, that okay, if I have this thing, I may be safe. So think about it, that it's and I'm just sort of trying to bring the consumer experience into the marketing world, that what does this trend therefore tell me as a marketer, that whatever be the product, tell the customer why it is safe for you, or the fact that this can be explored without putting yourself at risk. The second thing therefore is, by the way, you can place your trust on me as being the best provider for experiencing this. those would be the two bits around the purchase decision.
One more thing, madam, like this 1 week or 2 weeks back, like when it has been unlocked and again the second wave was in hype, people rush to again these brick and mortar stores compared to digital, because digital takes some time to reach. They were in a hurry, urgency. So there again, there is a fluctuation. Again, people were rushing to brick and mortar stores, retail stores. What do you say about this? It's only a passing. Again, back to new normal.
And which is where, again, I will go back that the trend that's emerging is customer wants something that's easy. Now, what is easy or what is convenient? I have a guest or I have somebody who's coming in the evening. I need 1 kilo of sugar now. If digital can offer that, maybe I'll explore. If my local kirana store can offer that, I will explore that. As a consumer, I am not really very interested. It's not as if I have promised myself that, oh, I will only go to this shop. It's because of my inherent principles. What are my principles on which I behave? I behave on does it serve what I want? I have a job that needs to be done. Does this option do that job? Then if there are two players, both of whom, so for instance, if today an online app says that, okay, guaranteed delivery in 15 minutes, I may say okay to it, provided I am then staying true to my principles of, am I supporting local? Am I supporting my community? Where that emotion may come out that, oh, these foreign e-commerce platforms make so much and maybe I want to go to my kirana store. If that's the emotion that I'm getting driven by. And that truism is, that's applicable. It works differently for different segments of people. It works differently for different categories. That there are categories where I'll want to go with a large established brand. For example, finance. There are categories where I will go out of my way to support a local initiative, for example, local in the sense of more smaller players, startups, especially, for example, things like grocery, local kirana versus online, or things like garments, clothing, where I may want to go and support somebody who's making organic. Having said that, experience and how is experience making that difference? The world of finance today is being disrupted. Earlier, for the longest time, people said, I love my bank and I like that big name which has got 1,000 and 2,000 branches across the country. Today, your payments are happening through the likes of Paytm, PhonePe, Google Pay, right? Think about your investments. There are players like Zerodha which are disrupting the market. And how are they doing that? They're doing that on the back of digital service and the experience, making it easy for the consumer. That the first thing that the consumer wants is his job to be done and to be done simply. Does that resonate? Does that answer?
Yes.
Great. So let me just now, sorry, what's the time? Let's do a quick time check. So we have about another 45 minutes. Good. So just moving on, what's emerging therefore is a trend. And please feel free to stop me if you think some of these, I'm very conscious of the fact that most of you sort of teach some of these things as part of your day job. So please feel free to add to this, question me where you think relevant. Is that first and foremost, the first thing is there is no one trend or there is no one formula. Like, this is somebody from Google, Avinash Kaushik, very, very well-known digital marketing evangelist for Google. He goes on to say that 70% of the time we focus on what we know, that this is hygiene or this is core to my business. I have to do this. Like, for instance, as a marketer, I can say that, okay, in a month, This much will go to Google, this much will go to Facebook, please advertise. That is a almost, I've seen it work. I have done enough evaluations in the past to say, if I spend X, I will get Y from Facebook advertising, continue. 20% is where we are trying to push the boundaries. When I say push the boundaries, what does it mean? That something like, okay, Facebook, came up with a new affinity filter. Can you go and try that out this month? And instead of targeting customers the way we do usually, take these two cities and try to do that different kind of targeting. And 10% is true crazy experimental stuff that every day pretty much, as a marketer, every week I meet at least 2 to 3 new startups or new product offerings, new creative ideas. So there are at least 2 to 3 such bits that come and lie in our mailboxes where we go and meet up with these people, and they are the most, possibly the best learning hours of the week. So, and that's the way forward for us. So on that note, very quickly, what are the emerging trends? Now, this is, again, I've just taken this straight off the net to sort of as a good summary, I thought, of all that we have been talking about in the last hour and a half, is that brands are expected to take a stand, be transparent. Are you a responsible brand? There has to be multi-channel influencer marketing. That's the other big trend, that only me as a brand, I cannot reach everybody. I need more people to talk about me. Video content we spoke about. From automation to hyper automation. Now, this will not come out as a consumer behavior, but this comes out every time we talk about the digital experience, the journey that I, as a customer, want my experiences compared to your experience. For example, if I opened a bank account sitting in Gujarat, maybe your first email to me should tell me that, what is the language in which you would like your communication? What are the kind of offers around? Like, because you stay in Ahmedabad, by the way, I wanted to tell you that this is the nearby restaurant where you will get a 15% off. And compared to me, when I am sitting in Bombay, that same email or that same communication should tell me about the restaurants in Bombay. Very simple example, and think about the permutations and combinations that it can go to. The fifth one is data visualization. The first video that we started with. That every 1 minute, the amount of things that's happening. As marketers, there's just so much data. So many people clicked on your ad in Facebook, so many people clicked on your ad in Google. After they clicked, so many went to the landing page and then went bounced off. So many people went on the landing page and then still opened the account. So many people saw your ad on Facebook but did not open it in the first click, but they actually opened it on the fifth click. So many people started your journey in the app, but they came to the terms and conditions page and fell off. And I can keep going on and on about the kind of data points that one gets. Now, what do I do with that data? For a business to take decisions, I need that data to become intelligent, to tell me that, okay, what all of this means is that your terms and conditions page, which is 5 pages long and then has a click button, if you can bring it to 1 page, you will get 1,000 more accounts every month. If I get that line, I will say, okay, make that 5 pages 1 page. And life becomes simple, right? That's what we mean when we say data visualization. And that we honestly, and I am sort of reiterating this, that if your students are good at this, if you could teach your students, train them, they will be industry ready. That's one of the top skills that we look for. Somebody, just because you're a marketer doesn't mean you need to be good with communication and language. Having that acumen to interpret data, represent data, is significantly appreciated and is the need of the industry. Uh, Internet privacy and data security. Now that this has been talked about, very important. We expect that, in fact, some of you may be aware that there are fairly large lawsuits against most of the big tech players in the US, talking about how they are monopolizing the market, how our data is getting compromised. People feel that, oh, Alexa is listening all the time, I don't know what will happen to my data. They feel their data is getting compromised, and so on. What shape and form will it take? There is already a large conversation happening on a cookieless world that I do not want to. If you go on to Chrome, you can surf the internet in a incognito mode where you do not leave as many digital impressions on the internet. The expectation is people will get more and more conscious about their data, their privacy, and their right to their own data. That's definitely the other trend that we see emerging. As marketers, what it means is, a, we need to continue, if not already, most large brands are already doing that, we need to continue to have that um, sense of responsibility towards the customer's first party data, most important. Second, we also need to start having that very broad plan B, that if I am not able to leverage digital marketing platforms the way I'm used to doing it today, how will I tackle it? That's the thinking that we need to get to. Of course, remote working culture, well known. It's going to be a phygital world. The future of events is hybrid. It's going to be phygital. For instance, think of large rock concerts. Will they never happen? Once normalcy returns, once things are better, people may consider those. Having said that, for a small birthday, and I can cite personal examples here, that children go for virtual birthday parties nowadays. In organizations for employee engagements, we've attended music concerts online, where and the interfaces are similar to one which we are seeing today, that instead of seeing a slide on your laptops today, what if it was Shankar Mahadevan singing away some very nice song? And that is where we see events going in the future. User generated content, new word of mouth, very very important. And the last bit I think we've covered enough about this, is e-commerce continuing to grow. Now, with all of this, therefore, if, and here is where I try to put myself in the shoes of a marketing professional, a very crude attempt at that. Marketing professor, sorry, not a professional, but a teacher of marketing, then what would I tell my students? Then what does the lot of bright kids who are waiting to become a part of industry, what should they bear in mind? It's a it's it's a dynamic world. I cannot tell them that, okay, read this book and you are industry ready. And thankfully we lived in easier times. So the first 2 points that you see here is absolute hygiene. That all of this, what we're talking about, the digital world, you will have a bunch of tools at your disposal. And when I say tools, I'm talking about the digital platforms very loosely. You'll have a lot of data, you'll have a lot of options. End of the day, you're running a business. If you're running a business, you're trying to sell something. If you don't know your audience, if you don't understand your customer, you cannot win. Because even today, whether it's a digital campaign, and more so in a digital campaign, I need to be very, very specific about who is the customer who I want to win. I need to be very, very sure what is the problem in his life that my product will solve. These are two absolutely basic pillars of marketing, which the truer marketing student stays to this, the truer we as professionals stay to this, the easier is the the rest of the journey becomes much easier. With me, any thoughts, comments? Okay. Now, having said this, I just wanted to use the next maybe 15 minutes to just cover a little bit about what's also changing on the technology part of it. Are any of you familiar with the Google Core Web Vitals that are changing, what it means? Okay, no problem. So when we talk about search engine optimization, and guys, please feel free to tell me that if you think that this is not relevant, or this is something something that is way too advanced. And let me know where we are in terms of your ability to appreciate the content here. Okay. So search engine optimization, we know that Google ranks search pages. It will, depending on how good your content is, Google will rank them as 1, 2, and 3. And that's how, if I type the word, say, if I type the word today's climate, it will show something, or India's climatic conditions. It will show me a page which is most relevant, right? Now, what is changing in this world is that Google has now is in the process of changing the way it does this. So they have now come with some EAT guidelines, as we call them, which is expertise, authority, and trust, where they focus on not just the relevance of the content, that, okay, you said climate of India, this page is climate of India. But is the content authoritative? For instance, if I say home remedies for common cold, there can be two kinds of articles. One which says home remedies for common cold historically have been whatever, a ginger paste and things like that. Or it can come with something where somebody well known, first and foremost, says, based off my last 30 years of experience, these are the 10 things I recommend. Users, please let me know what you think about it. And if on that page you also have people who have commented on it, there are backlinks to the same person maybe having done some video conferences, having won awards on it. So it becomes authoritative content by an expert, which also gets my trust. And there are credentials, there are sources that are referred to. That's the kind of page that will win. Now, why am I covering this? Is what it means that earlier a lot of websites which were ranked as 1, 2, 3 over a period of time, and of course in SEO nothing happens overnight, but over a period of time, the newer pages which cater to this will come on top. Okay. So essentially, if I were to summarize that, what Google's doing now and in terms of trends, you need to see a experience, which is how fast does my page load. Second, how stable is the page? And the third is my page interactive? So it's a combination of all of this that will determine whether in the search world, my content or my website, my storefront is visible or not. Now, what's happening in the rest of the world of digital marketing? Digital advertising, we spoke about this, that Facebook and Google, pretty much the big boys of the advertising world. Programmatic advertising, which is, are all of you familiar with the term? Okay. What happens in programmatic advertising is basically where we use data to buy and sell real estate on various websites. For example, if today you go to a Times of India website, you will see a lot of ads there, right? There will be this main news in the center, and then you will see different kinds of banners, ads on the two sides, sometimes at the bottom, and so on. How do you create these banners? Now, there are two ways in which you can create them. That as a brand, I can go and directly shake hands with Times of India and say that, okay, listen, on your homepage in that top corner, give me that banner space for the next 2 months and I will pay you so much, which is fixed bidding. The second way of doing it is programmatic, where Times of India goes and lists all its inventories, and I'm simplifying this a bit, goes and lists all its inventories with a agency. Okay. And as a brand, I go and list with the agency that, listen, I want this kind of people and this kind of a banner or a message to be shown. What is the price? Now, let's think of it almost like a stock exchange working, that in the real time, oh, this box in the Times of India website is going khali. You want it, take it at 10% cheaper than the normal rate. Oh, this box on the Crick Info page is highly in demand because there's a cricket match going on. Three of you, I don't, you want 120, you want 150, who's bidding highest? Somebody says 210, the banner with 210 as the bid goes on to the Crick Info page. That's essentially, in a nutshell, the essence of programmatic. Now, having said that, Google does that in a big way for most brands with what they call as DV360, which is the display and their video network, and across. So they also have a lot of spaces inside apps. So when you download an app which is typically free, you'll see that after 3-4 levels of a game or after a few pages, you'll find an ad that can also get sponsored through programmatic. So those are the new age options that are coming up, and also they're pretty much live. So when I say coming up, it's not like I'm talking 2030. I'm very much still talking about what's happening in the market today. Social media, definitely brands do have their social handles, very important. They need to, brands have moved beyond the purpose of just selling their product. Brands which are leveraging social media today are brands which are slightly, I call them activist in nature, that they have a purpose, they have a very defined uh, objective, they take stands as a brand. They want to promote, it could be goodwill in the community, they want to promote United India as an objective, they want to promote green as a thinking, whatever is the agenda that they have. Brands have moved beyond being just, I sell toothpaste or I sell a cola drink, to being, I stand for something. One beautiful example of this is, I think about year and a half, 2 years back maybe, Mirinda had come up with this beautiful video on reducing stress for exams for children before the board exams in March. That was a video that went viral. As a cold drink, does Mirinda have anything to do with exams? No. But they believed in that. People appreciated that, the fact that I'm talking about it 2 years or 2.5 years later, talks about the impact that such messaging can create. And that's directionally where brands are moving. Before I get on to the last bit, let me pause. Any questions there, or I can talk a little more about programmatic and the way it works, if that's of interest here. Any questions, thoughts?
No, ma'am.
How
It's
would this
very
tech,
good.
tech startups, could you just highlight, like tech startups, like you said about Paytm and all? How are they making it up, in the present scenario, and what would be the next level?
Sorry, when you say how are they making it up, what do you mean?
In the sense, presently they are on a boom, they are on a hype on the tech startups. How do they make it a stand-ups in, technology aspects? How do they make it for stand-up? I mean to say.
You mean how are they becoming
Yeah,
so
yeah.
popular
You
so
touched-
quickly?
Yeah. Because you touched upon 4 pillars, right? And in that tech startups are making it up so hype, I would say now. Now, in next level, what is that they need to enhance this, which is in order to sustain?
Okay, that's a great question actually. So if you see these startups and the large startups that you will see, they have completely disrupted industries. And that's exactly the reason why they've grown at the speed that they have. So, for example, if I were to ask you, what does Amazon do? Can anybody attempt to answer? What does Amazon do? What is the business they are into?
E-commerce.
Okay. If e-commerce is their business, they a lot of us watch Amazon Prime. They're also into entertainment.
Prime Video.
Right.
Yeah, Prime Video.
Yes.
So they are also into entertainment.
Entertainment
We
services.
listen to Amazon
Prime
Music.
Prime Music.
Exactly.
Books. They sell books.
Yeah, e-content,
They
e-content
initially,
books.
earlier they were into books only. They
So
started
if you just see the Amazon logo, it's A to Z, right? You have that smile going from the A to the Z, right? So what Amazon has done is possibly, the best example that comes to mind in terms of why and how these startups are growing so fast is that they are not into the business. See, if I enter a market selling a toothpaste, okay, there are 5 people who sell toothpaste. I also sell toothpaste. I will go through a growth path, right? That I will take 3 years to build my awareness. Then after 2 years, people will start thinking about using me a little more. And over a period of time, I will become a third or the fourth player in the market. What invariably, and let me actually on that note go back to the slide. Look at any of these names, okay? Paytm. What did Paytm do? Paytm entered the market and said, you do not need to physically meet anybody to make a payment. Right?
Yeah.
That if you and I are sitting at a restaurant and we say that, okay, let's go Dutch today. We will split the bill between you and me. Physically, I do not have to count the bill and divide it and pay you that much of change, right? I can just Paytm you 347 rupees or whatever is the bill, right? Without having to think about, oh, who has the change and how can we divide? Paytm made money collection so easy. If I think of me as a small shop running somewhere, I do not have to go through that whole painful thing of somebody giving me a 500 rupee note after buying something which is worth 33 rupees. It solved a problem. Who was Paytm's competition in the market? Pretty much no. And after that, you would have seen that many people have come into that space. But at that point in time, there was nobody who was thinking of this idea. These are big disruptive ideas, and you will hear this word disruption ever so often in this space because it's almost like 10 companies, all of them doing a little bit of something, and they'll come and say, hey, all 10 of you out, I am the one who's in, because you are solving a need. It's not as if they want to throw 10 people out, but because the idea that they've come up with on the back of digital and advancements that have happened in the technology world is so powerful that people are junking the physical experience. Likewise, think of Byju's. How have they grown so much so quickly? Again, there was nobody who is offering my children tuition classes online. Basically, it's that and done much better. I do not even have to go through the thing about having to find a teacher. I do not have to go and think about subjects. They will do all of that. Okay, class 6, this is your Byju's module. Think about 1mg. I do not have to go with a prescription to a chemist shop and buy my medicine. The medicine will come home. Unheard of. And that's it's the reason why I said that the two basic principles of understanding your customer and understanding your product has become so important. And it is a basic principle of marketing, but it's more important today than ever before. Why? Because earlier, or rather, let me put it this way, that today, if I am into the business of music and I say I will not think digital or I don't understand the digital space, you're not talking business. Pharma, I cannot think about my business without thinking about digital servicing of customers. Education, I have to think digital. And the reason these tech startups are so important is that they are the first movers in that space. I'm trying to sort of summarize my worldview here, so please feel free to.
Perfect.
And likewise, and if you think about it, that a very crude way of putting it, like in corporates today, you'll hear digital is everybody's business. Every bank employee has to, and not just a bank, pretty much any organization, every employee has to go through today mandatory trainings on digital. Not that it's not as if they need to use it in their day-to-day job and become a digital marketer working with Facebook to put up a banner ad. No, but if you do not understand the space, you do not understand your business. And directionally, that's where we are headed, and significant progress happening. So, and likewise, if you see most large organizations, including, say, for example, let me give you the example of State Bank of India. They have this digital app now, Yono, YONO is how they spell it. Or if you think about any large brand, they will have an app today. Even if they were sort of the big boys of their day, and even if intuitively will feel, oh, those people, they have their business in the rural area, so what? Everybody likes a good experience. If you have a customer, pretty much the new normal is you have there for a digital customer. So fair. On that note, let me just sort of, I'm almost done. Let me just sort of jump into the last two bits I have. If some of you want to read upon programmatic, this is again straight off the net. Please go figure, do read up about this if you haven't already. This is absolutely, happening already and no longer a future technology, so to say. Though, of course, the journey is that it has to become a lot simpler, more adoption has to happen. But essentially what happens is there's an advertiser. So, for example, it could be a brand like a bank, a restaurant, a e-commerce portal. They will go into an ad exchange where you also have publishers like the Times of India example that I gave you. And there is a real-time bidding that's happening. Basis this bidding, they will finally decide that, okay, this is the ad position, this is the service side platform, and this is the demand side platform. That the basis all of this bidding, This is where, so Times of India, bottom left banner ad goes to a certain brand. And therefore, it will then reach certain number of audiences who will then, if they click, the data will go back to the advertiser. So that's how digital it has become, and this is sort of everyday work for a lot of ad agencies nowadays. So okay, coming back, last two bits is definitely for your students, I would say, and for all of us, this is truism that there is no such thing as it's not a trend if it's not changing. So last 15 months, 18 months, that has been possibly the biggest learning for every marketer, that um, it's it's imperative that you be aware of the industry trends, keep an eye on the news and what's happening in the industry. Could this impact the way we market in the future, is a question we have to keep asking ourselves all the time. The second thing is, whatever you do, agility across marketing is critical. When I say agility, it's here and now. Gone are the days where I could take 3 months, at times even 6 months, to come up with a nice brand campaign which will talk about my value proposition. It's happening like that, right? So you have to be, it's okay to sort of have something which is what we call the MVP, minimum viable product, or a basic piece of, it could be communication which tells your message, and to continuously optimize that. Okay, when I did this worked, this did not work, let me correct, do something else, this worked, this did not work. So your version 3 or your version 4 will work, but it's important to get started with version 0 to just know where you stand. Last bits, therefore, to summarize: invest in understanding audiences, how they're responding, very important. Thinking digital, we spoke about it thanks to the lovely questions from all of you. Uh, it's important to personalize. Maybe now that I think about it, we did not cover it as much, but when we say vernacular, essentially what we are doing is personalization. Now, that personalization has to happen across, not just onboarding a new customer, not just vernacular. It could be a different product altogether, a variant strategy. For example, the different kinds of shampoos we see, that, oh, you have curly hair, this is the shampoo, you have straight hair and shiny hair and whatever hair, and you'll have some 15 types of shampoos that will leave you thinking that, okay, I'm not so sure what is the hair I have. So but consumers really, really appreciate that. Consumer loyalty. Now, that's again a space that's evolving very differently. Earlier, all of us are familiar with credit card points. You use those points, you get a gift voucher. Today, if I see a brand that's being helpful to me online, that's talking to me through a video, that's respecting the data I give them, that is driving a certain cause that I believe in, I'll be loyal. I don't. That may be something which makes me prefer that brand over others, not necessarily their pricing or what they give back to me in terms of reward points. In fact, very recently, again, if you look up Cred, which is again one of these new age apps, fintechs, they went through a lot of criticism for the kind of points and what people can do with their points. Suddenly, users online started saying that, okay, you're giving points and there's no value for these points and so on, right? On the contrary, think about Google Pay or some of these payment apps where moment you pay, there'll be a tiny scratch card, does not necessarily always give you money, but could give you a little star, could give you a feeling that, okay, somebody has seen that you paid and wants you to feel good. You'll smile at that sticker that you get. That's enough. And that's something which can drive brand preferences. The last two bits is consumers are in that process of moving from offline to online in certain cases. So it's building that journey, building that experience, that ecosystem of service around it. Because even I may have bought your product online, ideally I should have had the perfect experience. But if I visit your store, if I call up your call center, you should be able to find me, understand what I've been through, and then give me that service. And the last thing is what we spoke about, that continuously being agile, testing out what we are trying, and continuously optimizing those tests, using the attribution logics to see what worked, what did not work. These will be some of the critical things as we go forward. So let me pause there. That's about all that I have today. So let me ask all of you, is there any question, any thoughts, comments?
Madhurita ji, good evening.
Good evening. I'm still trying to figure out who's this.
This is Dr. Pinky Bharadwaj.
Hi, tell me.
Hello. Thank you for a wonderful session. It was quite informative, and at least I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That means so much to me. I'm truly humbled.
Yeah. Take care. God bless you.
Stay safe, please. Sorry, I'm just sort of quickly catching up on the chat window as well to see. Yeah, if are there any questions? Anybody, please feel free to start asking.
Participants, you're free to unmute yourself and ask in case of any query if you have or any feedback you would like to share with ma'am.
There are some beautiful comments in the chat window, and yes, I agree that with all of these bits, that vernacular voice is gaining importance in a pandemic situation. Traditional economic models not working. Right keywords is inevitable. True.
Hello,
Very
hello,
true.
ma'am. Hello.
Yes.
Hi. This is Dr. Lokesh from Jaipur. Hi. So it's a wonderful session. Actually, I enjoyed a lot and very informative. And you have covered a lot of things related to industry and all, what is going on in digital and all. So I like it. This is my feedback to you. And thank you very much. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Even we have ma'am, she would also like to express her feelings through vote of thanks to you, Madhurita ma'am. Vinodini ma'am?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, I propose vote of thanks on behalf of IPS Academy and from my fellow participants. Your session has been very wonderful. I mean, you initiated with every minute on internet video, and then it went on up to so many important aspects like, about the experience, stability, interactiveness, and the emerging trends in digital marketing. Then about the four important pillars you touched upon, the four important pillars as audience, digital service providers, e-governance initiatives, tech startups. And, you gave so many suggestions, as from your point of view that, understanding audiences, think digitally, strong, vibrant strategies, helpful and being empathy, building ecosystems, ad optimization, creative optimization, and finally you touch more upon this vernacular and the latest trends which are taking place, which will take place in the from the viewpoint of marketer and how the buyer is responding. The buyer behavior also has been discussed upon in an elaborative and a comprehensive way. Thank you so much. Once again, nice, Madhurita. We hope to, just share your email ID and phone number, mobile number. We would like to interact with you.
Sure. Yes, please. I think Dr. Kiran already has that. I'll share that in the chat window as well. And like I always say, any session is only as good as the participants. And thank you so much for keeping those questions coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Are we connected?
Yeah, I think there is some technical issue with Madhurita.
Some technical glitch.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, participants, I would just request to wait for at least 5 minutes because I have some information to communicate to you all, and that's really very important and it should be communicated. I think ma'am might join us back. One thing I just need you all to know that this is an ATAL sponsored FDP and the certificates will be issued from ATAL portal only. This is the first thing. Second thing, for getting your certificates issued, it is mandatory for you all to maintain 80% test. And once we finish with this particular sessions of 5 days, in a day you will have to fill the feedback form on your ATAL portal sign in. So just a minute, I'll continue. Please wait here. Participants, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, it was Madhurita ma'am's call that she got disconnected because of technical glitch. So we will continue with where we were. Your certificates will be issued to you from the ATAL portal. 80% attendance is mandatory. 60% marks in the assessment test is mandatory, and you have to fill a feedback form that will be there in your ATAL portal. Now the next important information that I would like to give you is there is a bit change in the schedule of day 5. That is the last day. We are not talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow's schedule is as it is. 3 sessions, 3 different speakers in the same time that we follow, 9:30 to 11:30, 11:45 to 1:45, and then 2:30 to 4:30. On 5th day, we have 3 sessions. First session would be on NEP 2020. That has to be a mandatory session in all the ATAL FDPs. So that would be of 2 hours, 9:30 to 11:30, same as mentioned in schedule. The next session would be from 12. For now, it is mentioned in the schedule that the session is from 11:45 to 1:45, and then would be the valedictory and test. There is a slight change. The schedule for now is we will have one session from 12 to 1. The session is based on yoga, immunity, and diet. That is also one of the mandatory sessions to have on an ATAL FDP. The second session is also you can say higher level version of this. That is on stress management and power of positivity in personal effectiveness. So that session is from 1:10 to 2:10. Then from 2:10 to 2:30 we will be having valedictory ceremony and the closing of this FDP. From 2:30 to 4:30 the test window will be open. Now how would this test be conducted? There will be 20 questions which will be objective type question with one right answer. 1 mark for each question. There will be no negative marking. The time to attempt those 20 questions is 30 minutes. That is half an hour. Now, one thing that I as an coordinator can do for you is, I have given a window of 2 hours to attempt this test, but only once. You can only attempt the assessment test only once. That is any time which is convenient to you between 2:30 to 4:30. So in that period, I'll be available here on Zoom to help you in any sort of technical issue that you're facing, or any other issue you are facing, in that while you have to attempt the test. Am I clear with what the criteria of test would be? It would be on Google form. I'll be sharing the link like I do in the session as well as on the WhatsApp group.
Are you conducting the test, or the guest faculty, the resource person are, is it you who would be conducting, or how?
No, ma'am. I'll be taking yes, combined test on the last day, 21st of May, 2:30 to 4:30 would be the time. Tapti ma'am, is that clear?
Yes.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Okay. Yes,
ma'am,
ma'am,
I
please,
have a
go ahead.
question. For this ATAL portal, do we have to give feedback on the last day, or every day we should go and give feedback?
No, ma'am. It would be a combined cumulative feedback that you have to give once the workshop is ended, you have appeared in the assessment, and then.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay, ma'am.
That would be one time. And what the feedback we collect from you on a daily basis that you fill after each session in the Google form counts for two things. One is your attendance for the session, and second counts for your feedback for the speaker. So we will communicate that to the speakers as well.
Hello, Kiran.
Madam, we are not seeing the updated attendance in the ATAL portal. Have you uploaded it?
Sir, that would be uploaded at the end of the workshop, not now, because that has to be a consolidated one. So for now, you cannot even see because it is not to be uploaded now.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. Many times they say site says it is under maintenance.
Hello, Kiran ma'am.
Sir, for today the site is under maintenance from 4 to 5 p.m. so it won't work.
Okay, madam.
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Kiran ma'am, there is one problem now. Like whenever we give feedback in the ATAL portal on the last day, so the problem is that like you have lots of good speakers, excellent, outstanding speakers we have seen here, and we have to give any two names as the best resource person. So now to whom we should select? That is the main question mark to us now.
Oh, that's so great to know that, ma'am. But still, I would say there is some people who are always on our top list. So please give their names, ma'am, and the speakers should get that privilege for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, ma'am.
And I promise for the next 2 days, we have like 6 different speakers for 6 different sessions. And I'm sure that you'll be enjoying their sessions too, because they are also the learning people from industry and academia. Yes, it is, sir.
Hi, I'm Hitesh from Jaipur. I'm speaking from Jaipur. This is my second FDP on the same topic, but the content that is shown in this FDP is very vast. So thank you for all the things, and the content was very good, and the speakers are also very good. So kudos to you and your team also.
Thank you so much, sir. And that's even learning expedition for me as well, because it was very difficult for me to get the content sorted and then get the speakers to justify the right content.
Madam, a small request, madam.
So that's a learning part as well. So much.
Madam, a small request.
Yes, sir.
You are sharing that PPT and all those things in the WhatsApp. Is it possible that you can share it in the email so that it will be more easy?
No, I would just share a small thing with you. So for this particular FDP, 200 participants registered. 160 participants joined on the WhatsApp group, but as you can also see here, only 119 people join in the Zoom meeting. So, sir, the easiest, fastest and convenient way for me to share anything with you people in one go is on the WhatsApp group, sir. And it is very easily downloadable from there. Sir, it's an humble request if you can manage, or else you drop me a text with your email ID. I'll arrange for the same as well.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Ma'am, one better option, you put into the Google Drive all the PPTs and share the link so everybody will download all.
Yeah, that's better.
That's better in place of.
Okay, sir, I just could see a message on the group that people were not even able to access the G Drive. Although I have given the open access, I just shared a PPT of Mr. Abhishek Saxena because it was not uploading on the group, not even on mail. So I just shared a G Drive link on the WhatsApp, but I could see that people are not able to access that also. So that was a issue as well, sir. Still, I'll try. and do that, Lokesh, for sure.
Okay, no problem.
Madam, one issue I have raised you last time also. When we download the video from the site, am I audible to madam?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. I'll just make you a call after this meeting, sir, and I'll help you up with the issue.
Yeah.
Okay, sir?
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, participants. Please fill the attendance cum feedback link in 1 hour the link is shared so that the attendance can be calculated on a daily basis. Thank you all for being wonderful participants. See you all tomorrow 9:30 with a session from Dr. Pooja Kushwaha, and she'll be taking the session on using web analytics and AdWords. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for being such a wonderful participant.